Country, what is up? Welcome to Bourbon, Broncos, and No BS. My name is Kev Dan. It's not only week one, guys. It is Raiders week. It is time to end the nonsense. Stop losing to everybody. This thing right. Raiders are coming to town. Guys, you are not going to want to miss the conversation that we have, all the things that we're going to talk about, game, things we're worried about, and answering your comments and questions. Also, you are not going to want to miss the end of the show. Jared has learned a secret about Miles you are not going to want to miss. So stand by for that, guys. Get ready for it. Bourbon Broncos No BS season starts now. Here we go. Orange Weekly, fans, brews, and Broncos news. Apparently that was choppy. It was just a weird intro, I guess. I'm not sure. Is it still bad?
Yeah, it's not great.
Okay.
It's going to be Orange Weekly.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But anyway, bottom line, look, I'm excited. To hear what the secret of Miles the mascot is, Jared. So I'm excited to hear that from you at the end of the show here.
Yeah, got one ready.
Hey, tradition is a very important part, I think, of organizations, especially if they've been around for a while. And, we are no different here at Orange Weekly. In fact, we have over time developed our own traditions here. And I think it's time for us to, as always, share our very first Orange Weekly. So you all can get
Jared. I forgot about
an idea of 8 years ago where Jared and I started, how happy he looked to be joining me. If you can see the pleasantness.
He looks like he's sitting behind the cardboard cutout of a Von Miller jersey. I don't understand what's going on.
Dan, is that your brother?
We got Jace. I mean, this is old school, guys. Do we even know what we were doing, Jared?
Oh, we absolutely had no idea. I'm pretty sure by the look on my face, I was held there against my will.
It looks like you knew somehow ahead of time that you were going to be in this for 8+ years.
Yeah, and no, that's definitely the face of someone that's like, we're starting a franchise here. Yeah, absolutely.
How big is that
anyway?
I mean, you can see Jared moving, and the jersey just doesn't move at all. It's insane.
Too much starch. Too much starch.
Is that your beach jersey for when you want to wear a life jacket on and then nobody can tell? So you put the jersey on and over it? Is that what is that?
I don't even know whose jersey that was. Like I think it was probably Kev's. I think I was drinking beer at Kev's house and he was like, "We should jump on the internets." And I was like, "This sounds like a great idea."
Yeah, I had pretty much been like, "Oh, I started messing around with Facebook Live. Like, do you want to see what I've been working on?" Didn't think Jared would want to jump in on this. I was like, "Oh, Broncos, and you're a Bronco fan. I want to talk Broncos." And he was like, "Oh, this is awesome. Let's do let's do the podcast." And the show,
as you could tell by my face.
Okay. Yeah, and then we got in front of the camera and yeah. So anyway, hey guys, let's start talking about this. The Raiders are here. We got a lot to cover this hour. Really quickly, before we jump into that, Clayton, how you doing? We got Anthony in here as well. He's right. Hit that share button. Hit that like button. If you want to make sure that your comments show up, please go over to our YouTube channel. I'll pull up the link here. Make sure you subscribe to us there. YouTube is the only place that we know for sure that all the comments always show up. Sometimes on Facebook, they don't. So please make sure you go over there, and that way we'll be able to bring your comment up. But Jared, start with you, man. How's it going?
Raiders week. First week of the season. Lots riding on a lot of things on this first game.
Good. Very analytical.
Yeah, there's I feel like Ayla when she plays Kev. There's a game this week, and we are going to try to win. And that's all I have to say about that.
There you go. John, what about you, man?
Hey, we have not lost a game this year, and I'm really excited about that at the moment.
Yeah.
Undefeated.
100%.
I don't know the last time we beat the Raiders. I forgot that stat years ago because I thought it would have changed by now. I think this could be week that we changed that. Broncos are 3.5-point favorites at home, which that's a good line. So I'll probably be taking that one. So I think
it moved to 4.5.
Damn.
But still,
we're favored. All right, we're favored against the Raiders.
Yeah.
Awesome. Spotty, man, what do you think?
Well, what I think is we're not going to have to help the coach figure out the time.
Hey, this is Cam with Blacktail Studio. This is unequivocal.
Feel like that we are going to spend a lot more time actually getting yards instead of putting penalties up. It was the first game last year, 13 penalties.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see an improved team and an improved product on the field.
Absolutely.
I got you.
And back to what you were saying a little bit, John. It's been six tries.
6
in a row. Yeah, since we beat the Raiders.
6 seasons.
3 years.
Well, no, 3 years. 6 games.
3 seasons.
6 games. Not great either way. Now, and every single time, I will admit this to you guys, every single time over the past 3 seasons, I've gone into every single Raiders game and said, we should beat the Raiders. We got a better team than the Raiders do, and we just get Josh Jacobs every single time.
Josh Jacobs.
And
or Devontae Adams.
Or both.
Oh, yeah.
Or both.
And it's, I like you said, I think this could be it. But I've been hurt before.
But there's no Darren Waller, so
there's no
true.
Darren Waller.
There's no Henry Ruggs in his car.
No,
That's true.
Yikes.
No, you're not wrong.
It's a hot take.
We're using that one for a clip on TikTok later.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that'll be the one I download for sure.
They're gonna miss Derek Carr. You know they will.
John getting into mid-season form already. I see.
Yes.
Put right down his mouth in the first 7 minutes of the show. Yeah, good job. Now, seriously, you guys, let me start by asking you this. What do you think? Give me one, and we don't want to step on the pregame podcast toast too much. But what do you think is one key matchup other than Josh Jacobs for this team, either offensively or defensively going into this one?
I mean, do you want the easy answer?
Definitely.
It's Devontae Adams versus...
Somebody was going to say it, and John had to say it first.
I might as well start it off there, guys.
Yeah.
Might as well make it the intro there. But Devontae Adams is the one player in the NFL that seems to be able to cook Pat Surtain. I hope this is the year. Hey, it's his 3rd year. He can probably figure it out by now, I think, how to cover Devontae Adams. So I have high hopes that that's going to change. But, man, he's owned him. Let's be honest. He has.
True.
So...
Well, and I think at least we're going to get a preview of how Vance Joseph is going to use Pat Surtain this season. With a receiver like Adams right away, you're going to see whether he matches him up all game or if he sticks to one side, what kind of coverages he uses him for, that kind of thing.
Really interesting, but I can't see him not shadowing Adams, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for a majority of the game at least.
How about the giant tattooed ginger on their team versus our left and right tackle?
Damn it, Spotty. Damn it, Spotty.
Because Max Crosby, not only does he look like what a Raider player in the 80s, probably, they're like,
oh, yeah.
Those guys, you're like,
yeah,
you play for the Raiders, don't you? And you're like, yes, he's got 2 X's in his name. He's definitely a Raiders player. So I think that the take will be if we can handle him, because I'm not really worried about Chandler Jones. Apparently he doesn't want to be a Raider anyways.
Right.
Yeah, something tells me his heart's not going to be in this one.
Yeah. You know what? He can't work out at the stadium, so he didn't have a good offseason, guys. But Max Crosby is doing terrifying soulless ginger things to our offensive line a lot of times. So I think we should pay attention to the matchup, McGlinty and Eric Bowles or Garrett Bowles or whoever shows up in that game at left tackle.
Yeah,
and we love our ginger audience out there, by the way. We're big.
Yeah. This is not the giant tattooed ginger. I was wondering where you were going with that as you started. I was like, damn it, he stole my thunder. Now, are we talking about only ones that we think are going to be a problem for the Broncos, or just either way?
No, if you think the Broncos have a problem matchup that they can exploit, by all means, Jared.
Yeah, so I think our wide receiver core is as down as it is, and we talked about this last week. I like them against their secondary. Marcus Peters is getting up there in age, and then on the other side it's Hobbs. I think Nate Hobbs, second year guy. So Cortland Sutton, I want to see what Marvin Mims does out there. He's probably going to get a starting role. I think we can exploit that secondary a little bit if we can protect Russell Wilson from the tattoo ginger.
True.
Which from now on is his nickname as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, we are starting trends here between the ginger thing and then we got no G. I mean, we're just starting things here.
You keep bringing that up.
He just really wants it to be a thing. He really wants it to happen.
You're the only one that mentions it.
I thought we went with 1G. I thought we changed it to 1G.
No.
Does he know how to spell the guy's name?
He does.
I do.
I don't.
It's McGlinchey with.
He just said McGlinchley, but we're talking about McLaughlin.
Yeah.
Please continue.
We're talking about the same person.
One of those Mac names. I don't know.
Now, Kevin, did you have a matchup?
It's not McDaniels. That I know.
Hey, amen to that.
So.
No, absolutely.
Hey, actually, that's another one. I'm going to steal Kevin's thunder because I'm pretty sure he didn't hear the question.
Take it. I know where you're going. Do it.
The matchup of the coaches.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, Sean Payton versus Josh McDaniels. Absolutely.
Right. I think that's a matchup that we could absolutely exploit. And I think that Sean is doing a pretty good job of watching film and stuff to make sure that we're good to go for this game.
Yeah. I'll tell you somebody else I'm looking forward to seeing is Chris Manhertz, who I don't think we saw in preseason at all. I think he got concussed at one point, like in joint practices maybe, and he just got back into practices. But I would expect to see him lined up on Max Crosby's side quite a bit in this game. And I would really enjoy the results of that, I think. Now, as we speak today, I would enjoy the results of that. Yeah, maybe come Monday, that won't be a great take.
Like a weird thing to ask for there, David.
No, I want to see some double teams, John. Is it too much to ask?
Yeah, I like where you're going with it, but we just identified.
This is still the regular show. We have to wait for the after, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. All right.
You're setting us up great.
Look, I think bottom line, you hit the nail on the head with the coach thing. The we're gonna overcome the mismatches with the experience and the expertise that Sean Payton brings to the team and how he's I think built this. It doesn't matter if McDaniels has been with a team for 10 years. He's McDaniels. We've seen what he does.
We saw the results of that today with Chandler
Jones. It was only 2 years.
Literally today.
Yeah.
I actually saw a little bit of a side. I saw something funny today. I think it was Barstool Sports interview or something like that, and he was like, "I'm pretty sure that the whole Bill Belichick system is to infiltrate other teams and make them terrible." Like he said, he coaches his coaches up to be like, "Hey, you're going to look really good, and then you're going to get hired on as a head coach. Tank that team." I think that's his whole goal.
Mm-hmm. But the Raiders,
I was worried about. Doesn't really make sense with the Raiders.
Yeah, right. I mean, he didn't have to do much tanking. Let's be honest, he didn't have to do a lot, but
no. Jeez. Let's see. Victor here says, "Just win the game." I like it. If that's the game plan, just go out there, just win the game. But yeah, this is.
I think that was last year's game plan with Hackett.
We had a game plan with Hackett last year?
That's the thing. Now, that's the general game plan this year. I feel like that's all that was written on Hackett's play sheet last year. So that's, I think, the difference this season.
He couldn't read it. There were crayon drawings on that.
Someone else had to write it for him.
He did the maze on the back, and he did it in just 3 tries, and it was really good. And then he didn't have time to do the plays, so somebody helped him.
And then
is that a Denny's menu? I don't
Right. He had his 4-course meal at Cracker Barrel.
It was 2022. We're in a different time now. Remember, Sean Payton showed them the video of the 2022 Bronco driving off the cliff. Remember? Everybody read that today?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So it's over now. We're times are changing.
Speaking of cringy head coaches, I think Gannon's going to take the cake with that this year. For the Cardinals. Have you seen some of the stuff they're putting out for him?
Really? It is. It's so hard to watch.
It is hilarious.
It's
worse than Hackett last year.
Well, and then it is worse because I'll tell you what, they put him in a position where he literally put out the depth chart today and listed an or at starting quarterback. He had two guys at starting quarterback and an or in between them. And it was Clayton Tune or Josh McCown. And it's like, what do you do? Like, what do you do if you're Jonathan Gannon in this situation?
You can't
I get it. Those two elite quarterbacks, you can't choose.
Yeah, right.
You just can't choose between two elite quarterbacks. You got to let them battle it
Brady
out. Yeah.
level, like
that poor man was screwed. Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
Doesn't help the situation either.
With all he has to do is embrace the tank. Just embrace it.
Yeah.
Don't do what Lovie Smith did last year and win the last game of the year and lose the first overall pick. That's
I
all
got
he
to tell
has to
you.
do.
A quick aside, shout out to Lovie Smith because the guy got put in a situation that was real shitty. And you know what? Give him a finger on the way out. Screw that.
Y'all looking like Black Santa Claus. Okay?
Right.
Like, great.
Amazing. Anyway, I think So, all right. Now back to the Denver Broncos.
We're a Broncos podcast. We're a Broncos show.
My bad.
No worries. You guys are
digress.
Joshua Dobbs. I'm sorry, Josh Dobbs or Clayton Tune. And now back to the Broncos. What did you guys?
Team 2 weeks ago. Okay, now back to the Broncos.
Right now. So let's real quick because we're not trying to spoil the pregame too much. Is there anything you guys took away from the preseason? We know the games are meaningless and there's really limited stuff that you can take away. Is there anything that you guys thought you learned about the team at all?
I can start. I think our running back room isn't nearly as bad as I thought at the beginning of the season. Just being able to show that we have a little bit of depth there, even if Javonte Williams isn't fully healthy to be back. He did play in a couple snaps, which is good. I still think he's going to be on snap count, but I'm not super worried about the depth there anymore, and definitely not as bad as it was before the preseason started.
Yeah, that's what Sean Payton was talking about. Was they were going to figure out this week what that was going to look like for not just but basically for all the injured players that are coming back, working them in, and so. The workload we see in this game is definitely going to adjust, going into week 2 and 3 as these people, slowly get back put into things. So, I'm liking where we are. Yeah, we got hit hard with some injuries during preseason, but I think it's all manageable at this point. The only real terrible one was Tim Patrick. I mean, just because there was such a high ceiling for him, but no, I think we came out looking good and showing that, this team is progressing. Even in the preseason format, they're improving week by week. And when's the last time we saw that, guys?
Yeah, fair enough.
I think that's the biggest takeaway from this preseason is it's so overstated, the culture that Sean Payton's bringing to this team. But you could say, I was at the first training camp that fans were allowed to be at, and you could see the difference, I think, and I think you've seen it week by week too. I think the confidence is building with this team, so I hope it's ready to go week 1 and at its peak to hold out for the season.
I think the biggest takeaway is we talk about during the preseason that we're not running full defense, right? Oh, see right there, we're not running full defense, and our defense looked terrifying. With not all the blitz packages, Drew Sanders not playing everything that he was going to play. We still haven't seen Baron Browning play. Nick Benito started to pick it up. Now we got Frank Clark, who's a second stringer. There's just so many different aspects to the defense that if we have a healthy Justin Simmons and PS2 is out there, then we have the ability to be in every game. Now, that's all going to depend on the offense, but if our defense continues to hold up, their backs, all of their backs are hurt after last year. If they can continue to hold us for, half a season this year, then we should be in a good position, week 8 going on, right?
Right.
Which is actually kind of makes me pretty mad. I've done a couple fantasy drafts, and the Broncos are nowhere near. They're number 19 or 20 on the fantasy depth chart for defenses, and I think that's doing us dirty. We have never been a bad defense.
No, we're not a bad defense. For fantasy, you need defensive touchdowns. You need intercept.
Yeah.
We don't
Also,
do
okay,
good
last
from a
year-
fantasy
From special
perspective, but we
teams,
do
yeah.
good
I don't
from
think
an
last
NFL.
year we didn't have a sack. We didn't have a sack until what, game 5 or something
That's
like
not
that.
good for fantasy.
Right.
Right, it was bad, but we didn't put up any points, so we were always pretty consistently at like 9-10 points.
Right.
I think the strength of schedule falls into that, right? And then the fact that we play in the AFC West when we play, Pat Kermit the Frog 2 times a year and possibly air it out Chargers team twice a year. John. And so I believe our defense has been good, but it's in that Vic Fangio aspect of death by inches. And so we'll give up a little, so we don't give up a lot in points.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, I think 41-0 is nothing. Again, it's a preseason game. It means nothing. But what at least I took away from that was, and we talked about it in the show. But we talked about it in the show before that game. Yeah, but we talked about it in that game, in that show before that game. The joint practices were coming up, and the last thing that I wanted to hear was the Broncos came out and looked like the worst team against the Rams, and that's exactly what happened that first day. You heard all the practices; they were just not energized. They didn't have the tempo. They had pre-snap penalties. Jerry Jeudy got hurt that day, and it was just a bad day. So at least to me, they showed enough improvement over those days to go out against the Rams' second string and third stringers with their second stringers and put up 41-0 when your week started that badly. And that tells me something about what Sean Payton is doing with the team, at least.
Fair. That culture change just takes a while, and so to see the little improvements that just we've been able to see from the outside looking in already should give you a good bit of confidence that things are going in the right direction, at least, right? Keep in mind, this is going to be something that takes really 2-3 years to, I think, really cement the foundation, and that's part of the problem with cycling through head coaches, because nobody ever gets a chance to solidify their identity, right? And I mean, it sucks. It's easy when they keep losing, like Hackett's like, okay, we get out of here. We don't want that culture, right? But now we found the guy that was like, no, we want this culture. It's going to take some time to fully do that and imprint that in players as they come into the league and come into the team. So, man, it's exciting to see, though. The one concern, not a concern. I want to ask you guys this, and I don't want to get too far ahead of myself with this, but we gave Nathaniel Hackett a lot of crap last year for saying there wasn't really a rivalry between the Broncos and the Raiders. Okay. Sean Payton just said the same thing. He said he doesn't believe in rivalries. It's more at the collegiate level that there are rivalries. So I just got asked, only because we gave Nathaniel Hackett so much crap. Now I know Hackett is not Sean Payton, but when we're talking about culture and everything, is that something that, we would like to see more ingrained into the culture of, these are the teams that, you've got to get up to beat? Or, it's a divisional game. It's important, but it's just another game. What do you guys think?
I'm going to go ahead and say that attitude is probably prevalent around the NFL as far as head coaches go. I am willing to bet that most head coaches in the league right now would give you a similar answer, because that it's just not, the TV deals. I mean, we could get into why it's not that prevalent anymore, but the bottom line is football is just not as regional as it used to be. It's such a national product now that it's far less important to these audiences. The rivalries, the Raiders, the Raiders. Yeah, the Raiders suck. And every AFC West team except the Broncos suck. And you should hate them all. But I get it if it's not the same passion that Broncos fans had for the Raiders, hating the Raiders and the Chargers in the 70s. And I definitely get it that the coaches and probably the players don't have that attitude either.
Yeah, but we hated the Oakland Raiders. We hated the San Diego Chargers.
Wow,
these are all these are points.
Las Vegas
good points.
Raiders. Have you seen their stadium? It was.
I've been there.
Where it's I'm like,
I care if they have a nice stadium.
I don't want to get beat up. I'm like, hey guys, want to Las Vegas to see the game? Yeah, this could be a hell of a time.
And it is.
if the reason there's no rivalry, I think there's two reasons there's no rivalries anymore, right? The owners, they don't care, right? So they're moving teams all over the place. St. Louis, where the Rams at, okay? Like they don't care about it. And so because of we've restructured the NFL, old AFC West, how do we used to feel about the Seahawks? Like all these different things. It's more about money for the NFL. So they're the ones that killed that. And then second, for you to be a rival against most of these teams, you have to beat them. And I believe we talked about it earlier.
That's perfect. Yeah.
3 years we haven't beat the Raiders, and how many years against the Chiefs? It's the worst.
And what did Frank Clark say?
I'm all like,
Frank Clark said.
When's the last time you beat us?
Yeah. But that's what Frank Clark said. He goes, we don't have a rivalry with the Broncos. We never beat them. Like, why would they care? Over there, they're like, yeah, it's the Broncos, whatever. So yeah, for us, it's like, oh, we got to beat them. But to us, to them, we're nobody. Over the past few years. So
rivalries are built off. Rivalries are built off, and I think Sean Payton's right. College is a lot more. Rivalries are built off of like just constantly playing the same team over and over again, and obviously like everyone's rivals are normally within the division, and we haven't seen a true rivalry since Aqib Talib and Michael Crabtree. Like that was the last time. That was the last time that there was a real like hatred to another team.
That
like
was a Broncos Raiders rivalry. It was like an Aqib Talib and that necklace rivalry.
But that was the last time there was any like power behind like we have to beat. I hate these guys. Like we have to beat them. But you're right, across the league, I think generally it's like, hey, we have to make every team a rival. Like every team, we need to make sure that we're focusing on them. And there hasn't been any really heat exchange. Like the NFL in general is getting better at controlling anger issues, for lack of a better term, on the field, on the field, yeah. And because of that, there's not so much of those heated rivalries because you don't have those guys going at it all the time. And so rivalry is kind of something I think the fans that we like to have because we remember those times.
Right.
But as far as like a today, like as we sit today, I think Sean Payton's right. And for the record, I also don't remember us giving shit to Hackett about that.
Okay.
We gave shit to Hackett.
Have this long drawn out conversation.
We gave crap. Yeah, we gave him crap for a lot of things, but
not us.
Not calling a timeout or no, that was one of them. Delay of game penalty. But the rivalry thing was not one of them. Yeah.
No, but Broncos country, people in Broncos country were raising this, and so I just wanted to ask you guys. I think you're all. I completely agree with all of you. I just wanted to throw that question out. The big thing, I think, I want this team to stay steady. I don't want them to feel like some games are more important than they should all be equally important. They should all go out there and, play consistent.
The head coach speak, Kevin.
Thank you. Right. But
that's what Sean Payton
that's what we've been missing. How badly have we been missing that the last 7-8 years?
Well, obviously Peyton's not out there kissing babies. So
no,
I see what you're doing.
He doesn't do it.
Not for the gram, baby.
No,
not for the gram.
And that's not to say that Sean Payton doesn't have a hearty Instagram presence, because some would say too hearty, but yeah, he's out there.
I mean, have you seen his wife?
I've seen his pre-draft video and his wife. Ooh, I've seen it all. All right, I've seen two things.
John, you got something? No, go for it before I pull up this up.
Oh, I was going to talk about his wife, so I think we should move on.
That's it. We should pull it up. Yeah, before.
Jerry, how are you doing?
Good instincts.
If you want to hear more, like we're going to get more into this.
I'm not that many drinks in yet, my friend.
That's true. Yeah, Jerry, stick around.
Mm-hmm. Are you guys you're going to do the backstage pregame live, or are you just going to record it after?
No, we're doing it live.
We're going to do it live.
That's what I thought. Okay, so if you guys want to see the pregame podcast
I should slow down.
live, if you guys want to do the pregame podcast live and watch that, it's going to be on YouTube right after the show here, and you can hear a whole lot more in-depth breaking down specifics of the Raiders-Broncos game and those key matchups and players and injuries and coaches and all that stuff. So stand by for that. We are going to get more of that here in the show. I do want to get to more comments here. I know we touched on this a little bit, but is there anything else? Because I don't know if anybody else really saw the news today. Do you want to say anything else about the Chandler Jones situation? And pretty much just coming out and saying these guys aren't taking care of me, they're ignoring my texts and stuff like that. Or, I mean, do you guys see this as really impacting the game?
That's
no.
Yeah, it'll impact Chandler Jones,
right?
Yeah.
And
if it's true,
right? And here's the thing. I'd be like, oh, man, Raiders pass rush is toast if Max Crosby hadn't just proven over and over again throughout the years that he can just destroy the Broncos offensive line by himself. So I don't think it has a big effect on the game.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I would drop my mic if it didn't sound so loud on this.
Well, no, David's the one that said that, Jared. Unless you were.
Yeah, I mean, I take credit for David's work since middle school. So
and a long time now. A long time. Yeah.
You also kind of forget that Chandler Jones is a slight diva. He takes these things seriously.
I think is generous.
It's a long drop, but I don't know if anybody remembers him turning himself in after smoking synthetic weed in Boston.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, of course.
Really?
You
got me there.
He's got some stuff. Like they had to calm him down. They're like, Chandler, like, chill out, bro. Like, you've got 100 sacks, but
it's true.
No one cares.
So the Raiders seem like
no one cares.
Look, he never Robert Candice himself out of any windows. So I think that story got a little buried.
Jeez. Oh. Hey guys, keep posting your comments, post your questions. What do you want to talk about? Everything from the Broncos coming up to this game, things that you saw or want to talk about over training camp. Just keep those things going. Also make sure the link for the YouTube is running below the screen here for y'all. If you want to go over there, and again, all the comments that we get from YouTube definitely show up here on our side. Sometimes the Facebook comments don't. So also, if you want to make sure you're checking out, being able to see our daily videos that we post, you want to go over to the YouTube page down below. So hit that subscribe button, like the video, share them, all that stuff, and get ready for it. The Broncos are getting ready to play this Sunday, guys. It's going to be awesome. We're going to be out there tailgating at the Flagman tailgate in the back lot. See, you won't miss it. Just look for the literally 100+ flags flying, and we'll be there. So if you guys want to come by, if you're tailgating before the game, come by, say hi. Great people, great food, have some drinks or whatnot. But let's enjoy the it looks like it's going to be really good weather, and should be a fun game too.
I just want to say shout out to the Flagman because he hosts an amazing tailgate over there.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, he does.
Again, I can't overemphasize it.
Great times.
His system, he had 106 flags last for the pregame.
I don't care about the preseason game. As much. I care more about the food and the drinks and the people. But those are all there.
But yeah, you're right. The environment he sets up there is it's fantastic. So you guys, if there's a tailgate to go to, that's definitely one of them. So
it's all great.
Let's keep
John,
the
10% IPA, and I'm all like, yep, this is how I'm getting my day started.
This is good.
Yeah, that's also part of it. That's also
nothing like a 10 a.m. 10%. Yeah, that's
absolutely right.
Yeah, like
I'm
all like, this is great.
You had a great time. I'm sorry, I don't know what you want from me.
I love this latest. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go for it. Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off.
No, now I'm throwing it over to D-Rock with a great question because Riley Moss came back to practice today, guys. Hasn't been in practice since early in training camp. Pectoral strain, I think it is, or something like that.
Sounds right.
Anyway, the early reports were that he was looking pretty good and he was running out there with the 1s and 2s. So what do you guys think? Do you think we see him on the field at any point during this game? His body's already shaking his head no.
No.
Okay.
It's too early.
I'm curious how bad his injury was. I really don't know the answer to this question. But they were hyping him up pretty until he got injured in which was early in preseason and in training camp. That's fine, but he actually was like one of the more exciting people to watch. Person is the word to watch at training camp. When I was there.
Well, and I to your point, I think Sean Payton probably would have played him in preseason if he was healthy enough, because he's a rookie, and so I think he probably
would have. I don't think he's going to be healthy for week 1. Personally.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, even beyond that, we know out of all the positions that are on the field, one of the hardest to lose time on and not be able to, have that preseason and those snaps is cornerback. I mean, look at Mathis, the guy who's our number 2. We were so happy about him at the end of the year, but at the beginning of the year, that man was being burned a lot.
Yeah, he was.
Right?
It was just
wrong. It's really hard being on the other side of Patrick Surtain. We've seen it every single year where you have a lockdown corner. The guy on the other side ends up looking like mincemeat. But it was bad rookie stuff where he ended up getting sacked for a little bit. So in the position that Riley Moss is, losing that extra time during this preseason, it affected him. I'm saying we're looking at like maybe I say week 4 or 5 before we see meaningful snaps.
Fair.
Good point.
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to be a corner. If he comes in, he'll be in some sort of nickel package. But we talked about it last time, too. We got some pretty heavy, like, strong safety presence in there, too. So depending on what the Raiders' offense looks like, again, new quarterback, same running back, right, Josh Jacobs. I have a feeling they're going to be a pretty heavily run team. So I don't think we're going to see a heavy DB nickel package. So I just don't see him getting in for some meaningful spots.
Yeah, they still have Devontae Adams.
Outside of Devontae Adams, could you name who their number 2 is?
Is it still Hunter Renfrow who they tried to trade?
Or,
there you go.
Yeah.
I thought they did trade him.
Guy.
Yeah, well, yeah, he is a slot guy. He's still their number 2 receiver.
Number 2.
Right.
So he's like, we're playing X and Y's.
Yeah, you're right.
No, but the guy from the Patriots also in the offseason.
Jacoby Myers.
Jacoby Myers, that is, yeah. And he's a good receiver. But he's like, I'd put him in a jar.
Renfrow and Myers are the same person, by the way.
Well, and I mean, they're both that slot receiver type, to your point. And so to see what they're going to do with that personnel on the field is going to be interesting, especially since they don't have Darren Waller, another big body receiver in there.
That's a big takeaway, by the way.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, can we?
I hope that they come out and they're like, we're going to throw all over this team, and we end up with a couple interceptions this game just because Garoppolo's not comfortable with this system because he's not reading the playbook, and then you go in against the defense who you think you're going to throw against, and Pat Surtain, for some reason he doesn't look at that side, be like, oh, we probably shouldn't throw to number 2 side, and just decides to throw it wherever he wants. That's what my hope is.
I mean, if Garoppolo throws the ball further than 15 yards too many times, I'd be really surprised.
Yeah.
But is there any action on Mathis getting an interception in this game? I feel that. Or Justin?
I doubt it.
I have not looked at
And if
that.
there is, it'd
Take
be
a look. I
great.
bet you might get some
prepared
decent
with if you're
odds on
going to
that.
bring that
I
up.
mean, somebody will take my money.
They will.
I mean, I'll always take your money.
We know that for sure.
I owe you money. I know. Shut up.
Well, I mean, there's 2 points here about Garoppolo between Keith and Andrew. Garoppolo, I think the Derek Carr, Jimmy Garoppolo comparison is not a terrible one, with the exception that Derek Carr, I think, is a better deep ball thrower than Jimmy Garoppolo is.
Can I point out the fact that Carr also doesn't get hurt?
It's very true. I mean, he did get that leg, like he got that leg snapped in half one season in 2016 or something like that. But you're right. Outside of that, pretty healthy. And Jimmy Garoppolo,
maybe it's unlucky. Maybe Garoppolo is more unlucky than Carr.
Yeah, I mean, you can count on Jimmy Garoppolo for 8 to 10 games per season usually. So it's going to be. I get the feeling that one of these Broncos games we're not going to see all of Jimmy Garoppolo in it. We'll find out then. Anyway, but he did learn under McDaniels. I don't think that I don't see how that's going to translate to electric quarterback play from a guy who has always just been average.
Yeah. Tim Tebow also learned under McDaniels. Just want to throw that out there.
Here's my one comment about him learning under McDaniels. The year that Garoppolo basically earned his money, right, was the year that Tom Brady ended up being hurt for a lot of the season. That was which we could talk about system all the time. The Patriots are the classic example of it. In that year, they started more quarterbacks than they threw interceptions. So they started 3 quarterbacks, they threw 2 interceptions. But that doesn't mean that they were like the best offense in the league. What it really meant was, they dink and dunked everybody to death. And I don't think you can do that to this team.
Right.
No.
Yeah. You can't settle. Hopefully you cannot settle for threes against a Sean Payton offense. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good point though. He will know the system, but outside of that, I think Josh McDaniels is going to come out trying to prove a point because I think he's probably the hottest seat in the NFL right now.
He is by I think 6-1 odds. He's the one favored to get fired first this season.
So he's going to try to come out and try to win big.
Him and his hothead and his him. He wants to go out there and just prove that he's better than Sean Payton, right? So that instantly makes me question any of the major decisions he's going to make. Like, what is he really doing it because it's the best thing for the team, or because if we're able to make this work, it's going to make me look better than Sean Payton, right? And that's the kind of guy I think Josh McDaniels is. I could be wrong. Maybe he's a nice guy, but I don't picture him as being that kind of.
So we have a couple more questions because I know I jumped off and I jumped back on and we're still talking about McDaniels, so we're gonna move on.
Yes.
Andrew, and then we're gonna get to that dude, Mr. One. After
That's a great question. These are both good questions.
Yeah, great questions. Who's gonna get the most touches at running back? I think I know who. What do you guys think?
Well, I'm playing.
Yeah, he has this.
In my fantasy football league this week, and I have both P. Ryan and Javonte Williams. So if you guys know the answer to this question, I would love to start one of these two guys.
Well, I think
gonna be P. Ryan.
I think the amateur opinion that you're about to get from all of us is P. Ryan. Who's that?
No G. No G will get some touches. Don't get me wrong. He's going to get some touches.
We're not doing No G. Can we not do No G?
Can we just
No, we're doing it. You guys are doing it.
I will listen. Quick aside. I will take this to my grave. Y'all can do what you want. I will never do No G. It's not going to happen.
Making David a No G T-shirt. Got it.
No, it's not going to happen. Anyway, it's going to be P. Ryan.
I'm going to call him Jaleel.
There you go.
Know
Great.
Yeah, P. Ryan's going to get the work of the carries. You'll probably see a few from Javonte. I think he'll be limited to 10 touches. And then I think P. Ryan's P. Ryan's going to be the workhorse for sure.
Yeah,
I think we'll see Pookie during like the third down passing situations, just because we know he could catch the ball and run 25 and run over 12 people. So in an obvious passing down, I think we could see him in there. But I mean, Samaje didn't look bad. He was averaging
looked great.
6.5 yards a carry during preseason.
Right.
Amazing.
And that's the thing too. You brought Samaje Perine in, I think, to kind of be that third down back, because Samaje Perine weighs 236 pounds. He's 5'11" and weighs 236, and I think they brought him in to lay some wood on third downs to protect Russell Wilson. But I also think you're right. I think they're definitely going to mix up personnel at running back, and I don't think they're going to be predictable at all. And I mean, this leads us right into that dude, Mr. One's question anyway. So throw that up there, because I think, you're going to see two tight end sets with Jerry Jeudy out, but I also think you're going to see two tight end sets when Jerry Judy's back. I think the team's going to run the ball a lot this season, and I don't think there's going to be a limit of touches really for any of these running backs if they're all healthy all season.
Well, that's a good point, David, because how many wide receivers are on our active roster at the moment?
It's still 4, I believe.
5.
It is 4 with Jerry Jeudy. I was one of those 4, so...
Yep.
I mean, they're obviously going to call up a couple guys from the practice squad at a minimum, maybe all 3 that we have. Right. But I kind of agree with your point that, we're going to see a lot of 2 tight end sets here with it.
For sure. Yeah.
And in general, I love 2 tight end sets. You could do anything out of it. You can run and pass. And I think we have multifaceted tight ends as opposed to a lot of other teams who have either catching tight ends or blocking tight ends, right? So I think our tight ends could be able to go out there and catch. Is Dulcich the greatest blocker? No. Is he better than OWBN? Maybe. Right? But he could still go out for a pass if he needs to. Yeah. And then, I think we have the tight end talent to be able to do it. And I agree with you. I think we have great tight ends and we should be using them. And we can use them in multifacets. And if we're running the ball or if we're passing the ball, it also throws the defense off. Because just because we're in tight end set does not mean that ball is getting handed off to the running back.
One last point I will make on this point. Probably not the last. Fuck it.
I hope not, because it looks like Spotty's got something. He's dying.
Spotty's been waiting for it.
I'll go. You go. You'll follow me up. Sean Payton loves fucking running the ball. I'd love to point that out. I don't know why ESPN hates the Broncos running backs in fantasy football this year. I think they're gonna way overdo what their projections are. But maybe the question is, who is that going to be that person? And maybe after week 1 we can have that answered. But we're going to be running the ball a shit ton under Sean Payton. That's all I'm going to say. And Spotty, now you can make your point.
I think that we're going to be running 2 tight end sets. It's kind of like a little hybrid of what Jared was saying. I agree and disagree. We have blocking tight end Troutman, and that's why we gave up the draft capital to get him. And we have Dulcich, who's that's not his forte. But the reason that we're going to be running 2 tight end sets is because Dulcich is so good at running routes. So he's going to be out there, and then, yes, our wide receiver depth isn't great. But if you got a tight end who can run a wide receiver's routes, then he might as well be out there. And then he's probably going to be covered by a safety or a linebacker. I'll take that disadvantage all day, he's just going to eat up somebody with this size. So can I see us running 2 tight end sets until we're healthy again? Yeah, absolutely.
That's a good point.
But to your point, I think Sean Payton's going to take Dulcich. He's a great coach, right? He's going to take Dulcich. Dude's probably going to work with the offensive line every day in practice this week.
Yeah,
I can almost guarantee he's working to be blocking so much more to try to build on his weakness. So like, I don't want to call it weakness. He's just that's not where his strength is.
Well, but go ahead.
No, so I think he's gonna be running with the offensive line. He's gonna be learning how to block a little bit better and learning the system on the offense side. Because if go out there and run a post, dude's gonna run a great post against some linebacker, right? Go out there and run a 5-yard out. He's gonna run the 5-yard out. So get him in the blocking, and next thing you know, he's gonna be able to use both those guys for whatever he wants.
Well, and you sent a message to Dulcich when you traded Alberto, and you told him,
absolutely.
Yeah, there's room for a tight end, an athletic tight end with your talent on this team. But we're not just going to keep you around to catch passes. You have to do more. My other point is I think we could see some 3 tight end sets with some regularity on this team. I think you could put Manhertz out there along with
you're all about Manhertz, aren't you?
I am.
Manhertz is not going to play tight end, David. This got escalated quickly. He went from like Manhertz is our answer to Max Crosby to Manhertz is going to be catching balls from Russell Wilson.
No. Let me finish the thought. He's not. He's going to be out there on 3 tight end sets where we're going to be running the ball a shit ton, to your guys' point. They're going to have Troutman out there. They're going to have Manhertz out there. They're going to have the undrafted rookie Nate Atkins out there, who has shown he can do a little bit of everything. He's the one guy on this offense, I think, who can catch a little bit and block a little bit right now. And so I think you could see a ton of 3 tight end sets with those 3 guys. You could sub Dulcich in there if you wanted to make it a little bit more spicy in the passing game. There's a lot of personnel that you can do with these tight end and packages you can do with these tight ends right now to kind of offset the fact that we have 3 healthy wide receivers at the moment.
And if I trust anyone to be able to maneuver all of this while we're trying to get healthy and everything, Sean Payton. Yeah, this is where I'm glad we got.
Wait, we still like our coach? We still like our coach?
He made a statement. Yeah, it's not even undefeated. He's undefeated as a Denver Bronco. Remember that.
But
now wait a minute.
He made a statement.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, David, we're gonna get back to it. He made a statement. He made a statement by only keeping 4 wide receivers on the roster, and one of them being possibly not playing in the first. Like that tells me alone that he has faith in these tight ends.
Yeah,
like that alone.
And maybe you're right. Maybe he's looking at Dulcich as that receiving threat and putting him in.
It's gonna be a slot.
Writing him in as a wide receiver, basically.
Yeah.
Spotty. Yes, right. You get credit. Good job, Spotty. Everyone clap at Spotty.
Not giving him full credit. Not giving him full credit. Yeah, you get like an A-, maybe a happy face sticker.
Absolutely. Now, I do have a man crush, but come on, guys. If you're a tight end in the NFL with a reputation for essentially being a 6th offensive lineman and your last name is Manhertz, come on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is he making your man's hurt with expectations?
I understand you're shorter than I am, John, and you have to for the low-hanging fruit, but it's
that's a
like
5-second penalty.
Yeah.
All right. 5-second penalty for that statement. Yeah. All right.
Before we get,
I'm gonna drink some more.
There's one area I want to talk about. One more from a comment that was a little earlier. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. Before we do that, I want to remind everyone, look, guys, starting this week, we are bringing back our full slate of Broncos content for you guys, to include the pregame podcast, which is going to happen right after this show on YouTube Live. So make sure you check back. The link will be there. You can see us live and watch that. If you miss it, you can download it later, listen to it later. We're also going to be doing our pregame show, and the halftime hash will be live as well. So you guys can check that out. Jared will be taking those over while I'm at the games, and then when the Broncos are away, you can expect me. So, well, I'm just saying,
you forgot the best show, Kevin. The best show other than this one.
No, he talked about the pregame show.
Yeah, he mentioned that.
He mentioned that.
Remember,
so
John?
It's
after this show
because we're going to be doing.
We haven't got there yet
because the hierarchy is very well set at this point.
Here's how it functions at Orange Weekly. We start on Tuesday, we build up, we go through everything, and it peaks at the post game podcast when we finally get to look back at all of the discussions, all of the work, everything that went into this experience of this game. And then John and I have to break all of that down into an hour content for you all. And so it's really, if you watch anything other than this post-game podcast,
well, watch them all.
And then the pregame podcast.
This well-educated audience.
Equally. If you watch them all equally, that's great.
The peak of the week comes after the actual game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, on this network.
Yeah, on this network. Anyway,
it must be easy. It must be easy talking about and discussing things that already happened as opposed to trying to come up with game plans on what's going to happen.
It's a lot easier when they fucking do good, Jared. Which we haven't had that problem in a while.
Yeah, but that's a problem that sinks all boats. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Jared knows he's in the Navy. He gets it.
All you guys got to know is we have a ton of stuff here at Orange Weekly. And if you're like, man, it's a day that there's no Orange Weekly show or podcast, there's probably a video out on YouTube that we published that day. So make sure you're checking our YouTube daily for any updates and videos, and you're sharing those and liking those for us as well. But guys, this is week 1. We are in full swing here at Orange Weekly for our 8th season. Now, to kind of wrap this up, there's one guy that we really haven't talked about, and I'm okay with that. We haven't focused on him. He is not the team, and that's Russell Wilson. But I think it's an important part to talk about going into this game because we are looking for some things like, what we did see from Russ, some improvement in the preseason, right? We saw some growth over the first, 2 games there. But I just really quickly want to ask you guys before we go into some closing thoughts, what are you looking for from Russ this game, maybe this season in general to, kind of solidify that he is that Hall of Fame of the future quarterback, future Hall of Fame quarterback? Spotty, start with you, man.
All right. Honestly, I think what we were missing a lot of is what Russ was known for, right? That moon ball, that over the shoulder wide receivers catching him like this. We didn't see a lot of that last year. So I think if we can see that more and maybe see that he hasn't lost that step that everybody wants to say that he did, that was the whole conversation. They're like, oh, Russell had to lose all this weight, because he's lost the step. He can't run anymore. He can't pass anymore. Well, okay, show us. Where is that Russell Wilson who's got 3,500 yards, 21 plus touchdowns, right? That's what we're looking for from him because, we've kind of talked about this a little bit so far this year. If this year ends up being a failure, we're not going to blame Sean Payton. It's going to fully fall on the let's ride of Russell Wilson, and he'll be riding out of town.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm gonna build on that negativity. I was last year all year talking about how Russell Wilson. Now, while not the main problem, obviously there was a combination of Russell Wilson and Hackett. We were stuck with Wilson. We were not stuck with Hackett, and it showed. We got rid of Hackett, and there's a lot of problems. Whether it be the offensive scheme, whether it be them just not getting along, whatever the case is, there's still a lot of blame on Russell Wilson, and there's a lot of things riding on him, and he needs to prove it. I want to see him getting rid of the ball within 1 to 2 looks. He shouldn't be holding on to the ball for his 4th look. That's just not a thing. And we saw a little bit of it in the preseason where he decided to use his legs. A little scary. Luckily, we have Jarrett Stidham in the back. We'll see what happens. But I think he really needs to make decisions. Right? I want to see him be a leader, and I want to see him to make a decision to be able to push the ball down the field. That's what we missed last year. And if he doesn't do that, I agree. I think next year is it's the end of the Russell Wilson era.
I want to go. I want to build.
I
want to build on
shake weights pointed right at his face.
I want to build on Jared.
Okay.
Going to sleep mode.
Shake weight. They're imaginary shake weights. They're actually invisible. It's a trick I do every once in a while. But anyway.
Answer the question, John.
Wow. Really losing that momentum, John.
That blew my mind. Anyways, there's so many ways that could be taken. But
classic John.
He
Had a
forgot
great
the question.
point.
David wants to go, and I'm going to build on David. I want to hype up David for him to go, and then I'm going to build on him.
I'm going to let John regroup here for a second. And I had a different point when this question was asked, but I want to go a little bit positive here and just say, I watched this, and it's one play. Caveat, this is one play, and you can't hold it up against an entire season of Russell Wilson like he played last season and just say everything's going to be fine. But that play in the last week against the Chargers, where he rolls out to his right, sets neither of his feet, and just flicks the ball to Jerry Jeudy downfield like it's nothing. That at least tells me that Sean Payton, if there's anything left in this quarterback, a coach like Sean Payton can get it out of him. That's all. And you're right. I think we're going to see a lot more of Russell Wilson using his legs, because that's what the coaching staff said we would see a couple of times at this point so far in the offseason, and B, because we saw it in action in preseason. But it's going to open things up a little bit more for him if this run game is good, if his legs are actually serving him the way that they have in the past. It's going to keep less defensive backs in the backfield. It's going to open things up for him to make those rainbow balls over the shoulder like you were talking, Spotty. I don't know if it comes back. In fact, I'm pretty sure it'll never be the way it was in Seattle ever again. But, you can still get 70% of that guy, I think.
See, I'm going to take away your negativity and bring it back to where Jared and Spotty were at, because they were making great points. David, you also made some great points as well. But a lot of the negativity last year, Russ put on himself because of the nonsense off the field, like that he just threw out there that was cringy. It was weird. It was I hate saying the word cringy on air, but it's so true. Like that was his kind of brand last year, and I don't like that brand. But at the same time, there were moments where I saw like his dedication to football. Like I still saw out of him like he wants to make this team good, and he wants to be the best he can be and elevate everybody else on his team. He just personality-wise just doesn't know how to do that the right way, in my opinion. Doesn't matter. I think Sean Payton can mold that, like what he wants to be as a professional. Like he wants to be that Pro Bowl style player. I think I'm taking some liberties there with Russell Wilson. But I think Sean Payton can mold him back to where he was, because it's a no-nonsense team this year with Sean Payton. So he's going to have to mold to that team so that he can stay on the team. Let's be honest.
Look, guys, it's going to be interesting, and I'll just wrap it up by saying I'm not looking or expecting him to be top 5 quarterback ever again, top 6, top 7. We just need him to be top of the pack, huh? I'm
mad at David. I'm mad at
so
David.
Mad.
That was such a shitty point. Like you can't take one fucking throw.
What did I say?
Look,
what did I say?
Look.
I said that this
No.
throw. What did I said that this throw gave me hope that Sean Payton can unlock 70% of what Russell Wilson was in Seattle. That was the point.
I get it, but one throw in one game that meant nothing.
Yes.
He threw up a Hail Mary and just had Jerry Jeudy happened to be there.
All right.
Like, let's be honest. Like, and I've seen it on Twitter, and this is what gets me so mad. It gets me so mad because people throw it on Twitter like, hey, look, Russell Wilson still got it. He made one play in an entire year of football. And we can't ride on that. Like, does he still have the arm? Yeah. But he still doesn't have the field presence. He doesn't still have the presence to be able to see who's the open receiver, the 1-2 look.
Let me live in the hope.
Okay. If one play per like season is good, that makes Jared Goff elite because he has at least one play like that per game.
David, you didn't watch David, I thought your take was fine, David. You're doing a great job. I'm glad you're part of the team.
It's fine. Listen,
I'm so excited to do the post-game podcast with you, David. This is gonna be fun.
Jared has been.
We do the post-game podcast.
Oh, the pregame podcast. Yeah, the better one.
I don't even know what show you're on.
I'm doing a show after this.
They wish they were on our podcast.
Jared has been taking credit for my work, getting A's for it, and then calling it crap all my life. So don't worry.
Hey, guys, let's go around the horn before we do. Remember the pre-game podcast, a very, very, very good podcast for what it is. Just not as good as the post-game podcast. We'll be on immediately after this. I'm sure they're going to give me plenty of crap on it. That's fair. I can't wait to hear what it is they say. But remember, we have a ton of content for you guys. Check it out throughout the week. Get ready for the Raiders game. We're going to have a lot of content going up to the Raiders game as well. Just get everybody pumped up and psyched for it. In fact, if you want to find out how we respond to people when we find out they're Raiders fan, go check out today's video. It's pretty funny. So Okay, guys, I think it's time to start doing it. Jared, I know we all said that you had a secret about Miles' mascot, so I'll hand it over to you to close out your closing thoughts and share with us what it is.
Yeah, so the secret to Miles is that when he pees, he has to get on all fours and pee like a dog. Right, he pulls his leg up to the back, and that's how he
expect a horse to pee like.
That sounds
how
like
he relieves himself. Yeah.
Well, this is why
horses are not peeing on four legs.
This is why it's a secret. Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, so final thoughts on this episode. I'm super excited. Broncos football is back. Meaningful football is back. We get another half a year worth of real football, Broncos football, and win, lose or draw. We're going to enjoy some Broncos football. So I'm super stoked for that. And year 8 for Orange Weekly. We started this a while ago. I love you guys. The
8 years.
People that are still watching us now. Everybody has followed us from the beginning. All the ones that are downloading the podcast, iTunes, whatever. All the places that you get your podcast, whatever those places are. Really appreciate you guys. We wouldn't be here without you. We don't just love hearing each other talk. This is great because we get to talk with you guys, and that's what we started this for, and we're going to continue doing this for you guys. So definitely appreciate you, and I'm excited for this season. I really am.
I do like listening to myself talk. So.
Well, okay, we don't. It's not the primary reason, though, is it? Okay, maybe it is. All right.
Take it away, Spotty. What you got?
Well, you know what? I'm super excited for the first year here at Orange Weekly. I've already had a lot of fun over these last couple of weeks. I think this is going to be a better year to actually talk about Broncos football than it's been.
Good year for you to join. You're welcome. Yep.
Okay. Listen,
Spotty, if we make the playoffs this year, we're just going to say it's because you joined Orange Weekly. Just for the record, we'll throw you a big party. It'll be great.
It's the hair.
I'll get a picture of you to hang right behind me here.
It's going to be a good year, guys. Honestly, at least we'll have something better to talk about than like I started the show off. Lots of false start penalties and delay of games and 13-14 penalty games. So we're going to have a lot more interesting things to talk about.
Yes,
love it.
Yes, for
John.
sure. This is always a much more pleasant place to be when the Broncos actually played better, which is something to look forward to, I hope. No, just excited to start the season. I will go back to how we started the show and say I'm excited for the 3 kind of big matchups the way that I see them. Spotty brought up one, Max Crosby, and Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs. Those are kind of the 3 that seem to hit us every year. So I want to see our players do well. I'll take away the side. Like, I do think we're going to win this game. I'm not worried about that. It's more of those matchups that after the win, I'll be excited about.
Sure.
And with that, I'll take it to you, David.
I'll say this. I am super intrigued to see specifically how this Broncos defense comes away from this Raiders game as a schematic question. What are they going to run this season? Are they going to do Vance Joseph's concepts from Arizona? Did they retain Christian Parker from last year's staff because they want to run essentially the same defense that they did last year? I have no idea right now. They showed basically nothing in preseason, and I am really intrigued to see how that ends up.
There's a lot of questions still left to be answered. And that's just, I think that's part of what I like about week 1 is we are finding out so much more about this team than we ever saw during preseason, right? Mm-hmm. Then there's also the, weird things happen in week 1, miscommunications, just silly little things, right? I think that, Sean Payton has probably, prepared this team just as well as they could have. And looking back, especially last year, the year before, how many times, were we just shooting ourselves in the foot, just over and over again, all game long with stupid penalties and, not getting the playoff on time. And, man, if we can cut down those down by half and just be a decent, disciplined team, I think you're going to really love what these guys can put out on the field for you, especially early on in the first season under a new head coach. So that's where it starts, is the discipline. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking to see what these guys can do. Like what you're saying, David, I want to see what this defense is going to be built off of scheme-wise. We're going to look and see what the running back situation is in terms of how they split it. We're going to see what Russell Wilson's kind of plan is in terms of how he handles himself on the field. So it's going to be a great time, guys, and I'm excited to break it all down with you guys, next week. And I'll be honest, for as much crap I've given you guys, I'm excited to hear what you guys have to say on the pregame podcast. You guys really do have a good insight to all the player matchups and the specifics and stuff like that. So just because I give them crap, guys, don't go listen to it. Please do. They do a really good job with it. I'll give you credit where credit's due.
Stay tuned, guys. Coming up next.
So
coming up next over on the YouTube.
Get ready for it, guys. Well, I think it's time. Ladies and gents, as always, we're going to end the show on a very strong Go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
What I like, yeah, I do what I like, yeah, I do what I like. Sipping goose, sip is right, and I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, cause I know I'm the show. In the zone, here I go, in the zone, here I go, in the zone, here I go.